Good morning. Welcome to Phallawsophy. I'm your host, Jennifer Fallaw-Doering, and today we've got repeat of Jentel from yesterday. We're keeping an eye on the Forex today because somebody asked me to take a look at it because they were hearing things that there may be a good rate there. So we're going to keep an eye on that today. We also want to keep an eye on the dong and the rupiah, Indonesian rupiah. See if we get a rise in those rates today. Okay. I'm going to repeat that in a second. So we have a good clean clip for later. Okay. So I'm going to repeat the Jentel from Monday. And then I've been asked by a well-known person to keep an eye on the Forex or to dig and find some information, see if I can get anybody to get any information on a possible rate on the dinar that is different. Then we're going to be you guys you're going to want to watch the Indonesian rupiah today and the Vietnamese dong and see if those rates are rising. So we want to keep an eye on those rates. We also had Ukraine launched 6 missiles into Russian territory, and news is coming out about that. We're going to keep an eye on that today, see what happens with that. The Jentel from Monday, if you didn't catch that show, Real News Live with Mike and Jen on Rumble, then I'm gonna repeat that, but it was addressed there. I think if anything happens with that, it'll be short, sweet. I don't really think we're going to get into a full-blown... I'd be really surprised if we got into a full-blown war. And if we did that, what they're doing, like if Putin came out and said, well, Biden gave these missiles to Ukraine and basically gave them permission to try to start a war with us, like a world war. And now we've got all these buddies over here who don't like that either. So if the United States is smart, they'll pull him out. But we talked about this yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and get into that. So yesterday's Jentel for 11/18/24, I got this information inside and outside of meditation. Archangel Michael, Gabriel, and the team, and Jesus. And when I was in meditation, we were in the library. Michael spoke. He said they did trigger the dinar on Friday. So that was going to be our Friday. Right? Yeah. So they did do something on Friday. Jentel, prior to that, we got that last week that Iraq was given 5 days to post something, to do something with the dinar, to get it moving. And they did. And that is why we were seeing other currencies connected to the dinar rising. And those were not test rates. So they did trigger the dinar on Friday. That triggered other currencies to rise. Then I saw computer screens and stock exchanges. I was basically standing in the middle of the New York Stock Exchange. And he said they are watching the rates rise on the back screens or just rise. When they get to the desired values, they will send out notifications and make announcements. The stock exchanges worldwide are linked to these values somehow. I'm not saying that they're It's a big part of it, but it is involved somehow. Jesus spoke and said there would be a significant and immediate change with the Indonesian rupiah and a rise of the Vietnam dong, possibly tomorrow, which would be today. So we want to keep an eye on that. Timelines are approximate. He said immediate. I assume tomorrow. This information will leak and show us that rates are rising. So he gave us that information as a sign that this is rising. Get ready. They're getting to the rates that they need in country to justify the black screen rates that we will receive at our redemption or exchange appointments. This is we're looking at currencies. Okay. Michael said yesterday that even if they start a war and put Kamala in, it will not stop the financial transition worldwide. It is an attempt to delay the political transition here in the United States and to lower the stock market and in turn delay the financial transition by messing with numbers. Okay? It won't stop the financial transition worldwide. What would happen with that if the rest of the countries went to gold is that the USA would stand alone in the old system and experience crashes, and that'd be a big problem. So, in a nutshell, Trump has been coming out since the election to tell everybody all these wonderful things he's going to do when he's in office, okay? And it's not normal things, okay? They are things that I was surprised that he informed us of, when he is one who does not tell the enemy what he's going to do beforehand. And so I was a little surprised by that. But from what the angels were saying and Jesus was saying and what's going on now and what we see, since he's been doing that, everything's been rising, stocks and cryptos and everything. Side note, they did something to the cryptos. What I see is a little while ago, Trump and Elon were involved in it. They did something, I don't know what they did, to make sure that at least 4 of them survive or do well. So I don't know what they did, but I'll give you the 4 that I received. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy anything. I don't sell anything. It's up to you. Your whole life and everything that you receive from me is up to you. All right? Disclaimer. So I saw XLM, XRP, Doge, and Bitcoin. I don't know about Bitcoin Cash. I don't know about anything else. I'm not familiar with cryptocurrencies. I just got this information. Do with it what you will. So the war that's going on right now is the war of perception, which is the enemy's favorite game and really the most effective. And that is why we see programming and just everything to make you think a certain thing, because stock markets will fluctuate according to confidence. So what the left is trying to do now, or the cabal, the dark side, they are trying to make everybody believe, oh my God, the sky is falling. We're going into world war. No, it's not going to be good. Everything's going to shit. Okay? No, it's not. We're about to get everything that we have been waiting for. I'm just not sure how this is going to play out now, because we got news this morning that Ukraine did launch their little rockets into Russia. So keep an eye on that. Let's see what happens with that. So, if they do delay the financial for the United States, the USA would stand alone in the old system and experience crashes. Well, if that happens when we have Biden in office and we're at war with Russia, I could see where the public freaks out, do something, stop all of this. They do nothing. And then that's when the military, the administration will be charged with treason and publicly removed by the military should we go down that path. And this morning we wake up and it looks like we're going down that path. So let's see what happens with that. Okay. I just asked if we'll have bombs dropping here. I gotta know. But I always saw this thing going down in the fall. As far as the cute posts, as far as taking them all out and all of that. I always saw it going down in the fall. Now, was I off a few years? Yeah. But if I had come out there, see, when you ask the angels and Jesus, they will give you the truth. And if I'm open enough to hear it. But what if they had told us way back then? Yeah, that's going to be in like 2024. We were just like all lost hope and just. Or it was me saying, no, that's unacceptable, that it's not happening this year. I think it's this year. So this is what can happen. We'll talk about that more later on the other part of the show. So they are watching rates change right now. The potential war threat and how the stock market affects the moving rate. So they're watching all these things move, okay? They're going to get to a sweet spot, and then there's some kind of freeze or there's some kind of trigger. And I assume that would be when they send out notifications, and maybe they can lock those rates in or something. I don't really know. Best case scenario for public announcements and or notifications is sometime this week. Got many moving pieces right here. We have to see how this goes. All right. Best case scenario would be notifications this week. We're going to look for rate announcement in two places, the Gazette and from India. And that surprised me. I say India because all of a sudden I was standing behind Modi, and I believe his name was Modi, and Donald Trump when he went to India, and he was standing in that big arena with 100,000 people. Okay? The war scenario is an attempt to reduce confidence and stocks to influence currency rates. It's not like the cabal is really, really concerned about the exchanges. They're concerned about the end result of going to gold. The exchanges and the redemptions have to happen before they can do that. So it's a stepping stone. And if they can throw wrenches in the spokes right now and stop that from happening, they'll do everything they can to do that. I said this before, but that is why Trump has been telling everyone of all the good changes that he will make in office since the election to bring confidence up and raise rates. That is working. The left will do all they can now to reduce confidence. It's a war to raise or lower rates. Putin will not play ball with attempts to start a world war for long. Or a big war, like between Russia and the United States. Ukraine efforts will fail. So I don't know what happened with the missiles, if they actually hit the ground. I haven't had time to really look into it. I just read headlines and posted it on Fallawsophy on Telegram. If you're not following me on Fallawsophy on Telegram, you need to be. Okay? Ukraine efforts will fail. The remaining cabal, and this is interesting, Jesus gave me this. The remaining cabal probably like any big guys that are left, have gone underground. I don't mean that. I don't know if that means into hiding. I think it actually means underground. Because after that, he said, expect tremors. And now we already have reports coming out of small earthquakes in strange places. So keep an eye on that. Okay. So, long time ago, the Jentel we got, and this was a strong one. I actually got this on a show with Mike Barra when asked, and it just like, it came out of me, and it said, Joe Biden will be removed. And at the time, I got for trying to start a world war. After that, I went and revisited that topic a little later and got when he tries to start a world war. So we'll see how that plays out. But at that time, when I got that information, I also heard the female news anchor's voice, and I hope I don't misquote it because it was a long time ago, say, Joe Biden has been removed, Joe Biden has been removed for, and then like trailed off. And it was a quick view of a mainstream media news story and her voice. Now, the way, so I've got people taking a look today because I had somebody, pretty well-known person, ask me to ask the people that I know to take a look to see what's going on with the Forex and the dinar. Hopefully, we get some words soon on that. Okay, so a few days ago, well, it could have been, somebody said California had 3.7 earthquakes a few days ago. That's pretty common for California. I grew up there. Normally, I don't like to take anything as a Jentel confirm unless it happened after I put out the Jentel, after I did the meditation. I don't like to take any wins that aren't real wins, you know? But I have a feeling. Okay. It's got word back that people aren't seeing the change on the Forex that somebody else heard about. But yet again, this might be another behind the scenes thing. So just keep your eyes and ears open. Things are moving, things are happening, and I have a feeling that we're about to get a whole bunch of Jentel confirms from the past 4 years. Okay? I guess Phil's doing a live tonight. That's what he said. Scott's supposed to have something. I bet it's related to all this. I could seriously see where this current situation could escalate to get us to a place where we've got the minions in the streets and we've got stuff going on and things are getting a little out of hand now, and Biden's over there like drooling and stuff, and everybody's like, get him out of there. But like I said yesterday, it could be that the left is baiting the white hats to pull him out and get Kamala in. We'll see how deep the story goes. Now in the Jentel, it said if that escalates to that kind of situation, that I think we'd have to have crashes too. We'd have to have people in a serious situation and not just a war scenario. You'd have to have everything snowball at once in order for them to come in and pull the administration out, charge them with treason, and take the Congress and the Senate and everybody else with them. I mean, think about it. You're going to have something major happen. Okay? As far as our own safety, I'm feeling that we're good. Okay? A long time ago, we also got that World War III will only be on your screens and not in your backyard, basically. So don't panic. All right? That's what they want everybody to do. We'll see how deep this goes. We'll see how that goes. But for today, thank you, Scott. That's all I have. Okay. Let's have our coffee. Okay. So I started out with this thought because, Mike Barra goes out there and does dating advice. No comment on that. All right. Comment on that. But if you really want some dating advice, come sit by me for a while. Okay? Because I haven't made it my profession to look into any point in time for any question in any individual in any situation and read what I'm really doing there. If I'm not asking questions about it, yes, I can ask the angels questions. That's called angelic mediumship. Higher vibration, mediumship with higher vibrational entities. Okay? But a lot of the time, what I'm doing as well is I'm tuning into the energy field of and the layers of that and the energy field that connects to and the information that is housed in that energy field of that moment in time or that situation. And it's really interesting. Like you can have an individual, okay, standing alone, and they have all this information in their energy field, like just a wave that radiates out from them in a circle. Well, 360 really. Like a big ball. But when there is a specific question, that is another reason why I always ask people for specific questions. And they're like, well, what's going on with this guy? Well, with what? I've got the whole ball I'm looking at. Within that ball, you've got layers. And you can look at within reason. You can look at any layer. Say, okay, as it pertains to how he feels about me, or how, I've got this employee. What are their true intentions when they're applying for this job? I mean, whatever it is, it's almost like a slice of that, if I could explain it. And you're looking at that, like if there's a bunch of plates, all right, you're looking what's on that plate. And so the way that energy is read, you'll start to pick up sensations. Okay? Energy is read, and it's more read through emotion and feelings and sensations and things like that. Then you translate that into language. That's why you see me sometimes and I don't speak right. Okay? Because I'm looking at a situation, I'm feeling things, I'm hearing some things when I ask a question from the archangels, but I'm trying to translate what I'm feeling, and I'm remembering things that it reminds me of and all this stuff, and I'm talking at the same time. So sometimes I just sound like an idiot. I don't care. Either way, I'm going to make sure that you fully understand the situation. And that's why I talk a lot. But that's what I'm doing. Okay? So if you come to me and say, okay, well, I had an argument with my boyfriend before we broke up in 1992, And I just never really got what was going on there and how he was feeling and stuff. I can go to that moment in time and read the energy field around that person, and everybody else can as well. Now, that's a projection of consciousness to do that. But this is what I'm doing. So, over the years, I have done this for thousands of people who come to me and ask me questions about their family members, their relationships, people they like, people they don't like, work relationships, business. What does this situation, okay, so if I hire this person or I sign this contract, what is, and then you've got like a timeline that leans out from that and energy around that. So what do you see happening if I should do that? That's the best way to ask a question, really, because that's when you're going to get the most information, because I'm always looking for a location. I'm always projecting to a location. All right, what is the person's name? Give me a picture. Picture works a lot better. And it doesn't matter when the picture is. It's an energetic signal. Then I've got that person's energetic signal. Then I'm like, okay, let's get as much information as we can from the energy field around them. Because when you're talking to angels and you're talking to God, you're talking to Jesus, we will not interfere with your privacy. There's only so much information you can do. Reading minds, I don't do that. That's not what I'm doing, because that's intrusive. And each and every person is a piece of God, and that would be interfering with their will and their privacy, and that would be going against their will, and so in turn you're going against God's will. So we don't do that. But as it pertains to you, there is a certain amount of information that involves you that you can have. So as far as dating advice, we'll get to that. But understand that as you walk along on your journey, most of the time, we're just taking a look. We've been told that we have 5 senses. Okay? That's absolutely limiting and not true. Okay? So, especially empaths, huge empath over here, and the empaths out there know what I'm talking about. We'll talk about that on another show. But what they're doing is they're reading energy as well. And that's why they have all these thoughts and these feelings, and it's really hard sometimes, and not everything is theirs. So when you take a look at a relationship, or let's say a possible somebody, all right, and they approach you, and they're talking to you, we're going to want to shift. We're going to want to be an observer for a minute, and not just take everything at face value, meaning what they're saying, what they look like, their physical reaction, because some people are very good at deceiving you. They'll look a certain way, they'll say a certain thing. Some people got it down. It's their MO when it comes to dating. Okay. I've spent quite a bit of time myself single in my lifetime and dealing with this, but I've been asked to look in to so many different situations for other people. I've learned a lot. So, what you want to do when you're considering someone is you want to tune in at any moment in time to their situation, like when they approach you and they're talking to you. What does this person feel like? And the way that's going to translate, you're going to want to tune into their energy field. Okay? Now, what we're looking for here, and what's going to be most present, is the core intent, core emotions. We're going to pick up on that first. That's going to hit you the hardest. So when someone's telling you about their life, let's say you sit down at, dinner, or you're on a first date, or you're at a bar, or whatever, um, and they're telling you their story. Most of the time, people pick up on the red flags. They can pick up on the deceit in the story. Like, oh yeah, my ex-wife is crazy, and I never ever did anything wrong, and she's just totally attacking me all the time. That's not freaking true. Okay? It's never 100% true. So, what we want to pick up on are the slight sensations of deception, or control, or fear, or insecurity, or jealousy. And you can do this in every, interaction that you have. I wish I would have knew this when the kids were little, and both of them would come to me, and nobody did it, but everybody's mad at each other. You know, it is the opposite. Dr. Sarah, I love her. It is the opposite of his dating advice, because, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to critique his dating advice. So you want to start picking up these things, okay? Now, sometimes people are hard to read because what they'll put up is like an energetic wall. And I've had people come to me in readings like that before and say, read me. And I'm like, well, you're going to let this wall down so I can access some information? You want to ask me questions? Is there anything, like, what the hell do you want to know? Quit wasting my time. They're just like, dazzle me. It's like, well, I don't have time for that. Okay. They put up, so if somebody comes and approaches you, and you're talking to them, and you feel this like clear energetic wall, they're hiding something. Okay? They're holding back. You can feel that. They're holding back. Why? What are they hiding? Is there somebody at home? Is there something that I need to know that it doesn't want me to know? Or are they just being shallow and cold and trying not to get emotionally involved because they just want to sleep with you? All right? That's usually the case. When someone is open and honest, the energy that comes to you will feel good. It will remind you of certain times in your life when you were open and honest, or somebody else was open and honest. You'll start getting flashes in your mind of different situations that relate to the current situation, the matching energy to that. And then you can evaluate from there what this person's core intention is. So we want to start, and especially, and this is important, why am I talking about this now? Because it is important when we go out into our new lives and we start these big projects, and we try to figure out who to give to and who not to give to, and who's deceiving us, and who's a good partner, and who's this and that. All right. We want to tune in, just take a step back, let people talk. Ask an open-ended question and let them talk, because when they start speaking, you will feel certain sensations coming into you that will remind you of something else. And that's where you start translating. Okay. Well, this kind of reminds me of that one guy I did a long time ago who was like a total snake and had like 3 different phones, and, like cheated on me with everybody, and this person, why does it remind me of that? Why am I thinking back to that? Then you want to take that information. This all happens really fast. Okay. But then you want to pick everything apart a little bit. Then you want to take that information and say, well, okay, is this just my fear? Is there something physical that reminds me of that person that did that to me? Is this a warning? Or am I being too closed off myself, too fearful myself? So the information is all there. Excuse me, there's always like one hair on my lipstick. The information is all there in the energy field. A person can block that from you. So just understand that if you feel that block, you're not receiving anything. This is like there's a blank screen. There's no information coming in. That's also a red flag. That person is either too closed off to open up to you emotionally, and they'll probably take off, get what they want from you and take off, or they're hiding something. Okay, but most people, if they're open, you're going to start getting information, especially when somebody opens up and starts telling you a story. Like, well, my ex-wife was too demanding. Boom. My ex-wife was too demanding. Just example. So what you could read from that situation is she wanted me to do a lot of things, and I was freaking lazy, and all I really wanted to do was go to work and come home and sit on the couch and make her do everything else. And every time she asked me, she never did those things, and now she's bitched at me. And then I decided to call her a nag because I didn't like that, and I still didn't want to do those things, and it escalated. And now I just decided to redeem myself. I'm going to call her too demanding. Okay. That's how we translate this stuff. Sometimes. That's interesting, Scott. All right. Sometimes half of it's true. So, like, you start listening to somebody's story and their interpretation of it, and if they're not opening, saying, well, yeah, I did this and that and this and that and this and that, but this part of it really isn't true. I mean, I don't think that part of it was fair. This person's open, and you start feeling the energy coming to you from this, and you're like, that feels like truth. That feels like jealousy. So it's going to be the core emotion that we're picking up on, and we're going to be able to translate that. So we know what truth feels like. We know what deception feels like. We know what jealousy feels like from experiencing it in our own lives. And then listen to what somebody's saying. And they'll basically tell you what they really want without telling you what they want. Another thing that can happen too is if somebody's telling you, well, I'm totally happy being single. And, I don't really want anything serious. And, I'm just going to stay by myself, and I just want somebody to do something with, and that'll be kind of fun, and blah, blah, blah. But you feel this, but behind the words, there'll be an energy of loneliness. There'll be like this half wall up. There'll be an energy of this neediness. And sometimes people will say those things because they haven't found what they wanted from people, or they've been hurt so badly that they're too afraid. But sometimes the feelings still hit you. Not because you want it to be that way, but because it's present. And you start feeling that and you get confused. You're like, well, it feels to me like this person really needs love and they want it, but they just haven't found it. And so they put these guards up and they tell people, yeah, I'm totally okay by myself, and I'm totally awesome, and everything's, I've got everything under control, and I have no problems at all, and I'm, perfectly fine if I stay alone forever. But you're sitting with me right now. So the energy of that's going to hit you, and you're going to feel confused. So so another situation, let's say in business. Business is kind of hard to read, but you can really tune in to that personal energy field. And you'll start to feel things that remind you of something else. Core emotions, core intentions. So if somebody's sitting there and telling you why they would make the best VP or the best head of the department or the best what and how well they've done and everything else, and but the words are going to tell you a lot. The resume is going to tell you a lot. But you want to access where this person is right now and why they're sitting in front of you. It's like, well, they a lot of times you'll pick up an energy of irritation. And when they start telling you about their recent history, why did you leave there? Oh, I just felt it was time to move on. Okay. Translation, I'm feeling from you, somebody had a problem with you, or you were a problem with somebody else, and you just couldn't get along with people, and that was a problem. And so your performance fell, and somebody basically told you, hey, you can either quit or we're going to fire you. So this is the information that's behind the curtain that is housed within this energy field. So what you're going to do is when they're talking, they're going to give you the location because of the information. So there's a location, a slice of that ball of that energy field is going to have this information. Now, it's not like this kind of thing is not like, okay, do this, this, and this step, and you'll have all the information. No, this is really stepping into what am I feeling? What does it remind me of? This kind of reminds me of that person I used to work with a long time ago who was just like so difficult to talk to, or who was just so sensitive about everything. I've always kind of been able, especially in business, to decide who's going to be a good employee or not, who's a good person to sign a contract with or not. Because the household that I was raised in from like 14 on was run like a business. And so I kind of got trained at home, but I've always been this strong empath. And so, my stepfather would say, oh, this Jeannie Niles. Yeah, she's a great person. Yeah, look at her. And I'd look at her and I'm like, she's going to screw you. She's lying. What happened? No, you're a child. Go and sit down. You don't know anything. What happened? Jeannie Niles screwed him. Okay, and I'm sitting over there going, I don't know what day I told you that, but I don't know why I knew that, but I can just feel it. You can just feel it from this person. Now, in relationships, especially romantic relationships, what do? We feel these things. We see just snapshots that pull up the file in our memories that match the energy of that's housed in that person's field of experiences we had before. And then sometimes there's something there that we don't identify. In hindsight, we're like, well, you didn't identify that because that was a totally new bad experience. And there you have it. Now you know. Yes. Yes, Dr. Sarah. So you're accessing the conscious moment to get the energy and info. Yes, basically. So that's the best way I can describe it is that's why you see me I look, well, most of the time when I look away from the screen when I'm on the show is to distract me from that so I can focus in and look. But I'm looking off in the distance. I'm finding that moment, that situation, that moment in time that's connected to that person, that individual, or that situation. And then the timeline that leads off from that. And then you translate, okay, I'm seeing this. I get a short like video clip in my mind of something. just a couple seconds. And so I try to take that picture, then another picture from there. I see you doing this. I see you, sitting on the porch of your house, and you're, and off in the distance. So I'm translating what I see from that picture, like a snapshot. And then what am I feeling? You guys don't really get the full gist of it unless you're in a reading with me, because it takes more time. So it's almost like, well, for me, I'll see something visual, and then I'll feel something, and I'm translating that, and then a little more will come, and a little more will come. So if you're somebody sitting in front of you in an interview, or if you're interviewing for a job and you're taking a look at the person that's going to be your boss, or you're sitting in front of somebody who's a potential mate, just take a moment to be quiet and listen. It doesn't mean you have to be accusing or on guard all the time. It just means that you want to be a little bit open. Okay, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I hearing? When somebody's telling you a story and they tell you about everything seemed cool. Yeah, that feels like truth. That feels like that part of it. That felt different. So that part of it's probably not true. So as we move forward into a time in your life when you could interact with a lot of people, you could have to make decisions on what people come onto your team, join into your circle. Just take a little more time. Most of the time, we will get the red flags in the beginning, and it's not something that's said. Okay? Sometimes, example. Okay, guy I was dating. So stupid. And we don't always make the right decision when you're personally involved. But what we'll do is we'll get these red flags, and then we'll be like, nope, that is not a red flag, because I am not done with this yet. I am not ready for that yet. I'm not ready to say goodbye yet. I want to find out what happens. All right, go ahead and find out what happens. But you'll find out later that, yeah, shit. Yeah, I did know that. And then we're totally surprised. Oh my God, I didn't see that coming at all. In hindsight, we look back and go, oh, there it is. There it is. There it was. There it was. There it was. I ignored all of it because I was not done with this yet. I wanted to make this something that I needed it to be, or that person what I needed it to be. So, example, like I was dating this guy. And I think he was the first guy that I dated. I was either 2 or 2.5 years after my husband passed away. It was probably like 2009. And, and I like people who know exactly what they want and who are clever and funny and fun. And they come at me like 100 miles an hour. They're just like, you will be mine, and I'm going to make sure that you like me, kind of thing. I can't help it. I'm like, you're awesome. That's freaking awesome that you are like such a go-getter. I gotta stop that. But I really do. So this guy was like that. Wasn't really that attractive, but it was the personality that was attractive. That's what always draws me in. But there was something about him that I couldn't put my finger on. Everything seemed okay. But there were things that I overlooked, okay? There was this slight sensation of that wall, this closed off, okay? And to translate it into words, it felt like, I'm going to let you know this, and that. But don't ask me about this, or that. because you're going to get blocked on every turn. So there was this holdback. There's this separation there that I couldn't translate at the time. Now I'd be like, you know what? I know exactly what you're doing. No. Okay? I'm not falling for that crap anymore. Back then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm sure he's, I mean, everybody's basically nice. I mean, I'm sure, totally naive. I mean, not that naive, but more than now. But there was red flag after red flag, and I chose to believe the stories. Like, I'm like, why do you have 3 phones? Like, why do you have 3 phones? Jennifer, it's because this chick talks to him on this phone, and you talk to him on that phone, and this one's the backup, okay? And so, like, when I first started going out with this guy, we were having all kinds of fun, and I was like, yeah, he's cute, this is, and I told him my story, and he knew that my husband died on his way home from work. This guy's turned into a total snake, all right? So the first time kids are out of town, the first time we were going to get, like, physical. Okay, I'll just say that. I look up into his eyes, and I actually heard the word snake. And what went on in my mind was, I totally heard that. That's probably true. I shouldn't do this. And I went, no, I'm sure he's fine, I'm sure he's fine. No, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not listen to that. That's stupid. You're just being scared. This is just, I'm sure he's a really great guy. But I knew that he wasn't. But I wasn't done with it yet. I wasn't ready to accept that. Okay? And then along the way, he turned out to be the biggest snake I've ever seen. And the thing he pulled on me so that he could go out of town totally lied to me. I believed all his lies because I wanted to. But I knew when the lie came out that it felt like a lie. It didn't feel like truth. I chose to accept what he was saying, but inside I knew that wasn't true. But I wanted it to be true. And he left for a weekend, like on a, I think it was like a Friday morning. He said he had to go to, like, Montana to help his parents out. And I was like, well, that doesn't feel true. Took off, told me that he would be back that night at 8 o'clock and be at my house. Never showed up. And I just came 2.5 years ago, was widowed because my husband never came home and died in a car accident. And he's going over to Montana in the winter. So I'm a mess. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. What if he's dead? Should I do something? Does anybody know he went over there? I mean, he's got a white truck. He could be sitting in the snow berm on the side of the road, just like dying. And I'm like, what do I do? And it was just a sick feeling. But underneath that feeling, I knew what he was doing. I knew he wasn't dead. I knew he wasn't with his parents. I knew he didn't have 3 phones for business or whatever. But I jumped full in to the idea that, well, I should call around, make sure he's not dead. Oh my God, I have to save him, because this is this perfect guy that I wanted to be perfect for me. But it wasn't. I was being deceived. I knew it. But I didn't accept it because I wasn't done with it yet. And that is not what I wanted. So we do this over and over again. Come to find out, kid went over there, was sleeping with somebody else. This guy was such a narcissist. Such a so then so he shows up Sunday night at my house. And I'm like, "Oh my god, what happened?" And we're sitting out on the front porch because the kids were there. And I said, "I was so worried. Oh my god, I called the hospital over there to see if you were admitted or, to see if anything had happened." I think any rational person would be like, yeah, yeah, he tells me he got snowed in over the, or no, the story was his parents went to the hospital. His dad went to the hospital and he had to be there all weekend. And oh, and I dropped my phone in the toilet on the way over there. I'm like, don't you have like two more? And so I'm just sitting there listening to the story. It just all feels like deception. It all feels like bullshit, and I'm just like, I could see you pulling this with somebody else. But with somebody, the first relationship after being widowed, and that person disappeared and didn't come home from work and was in a car accident, and you pulled that shit on me, and you show up on Sunday night. And he goes, don't you think that's a little bit crazy? That's when I accepted it all. That's when the lioness came out, and I said, Mother Fluffer, get the hell off of my porch and don't talk to me. That's the worst crap that I have ever heard somebody do to somebody in my situation. You're not ready for a relationship. I'm like, not yours. I'm not ready for that kind of crap right now. Absolutely unacceptable. And I was used so bad. I accepted it. I felt it the whole time. I denied it, and I inserted my own scenario into that to make it what I needed it to be. And that is what we do time and time again in relationships with people. If I would have listened to the energy that was coming off of this guy, I probably never would have had a second date. Never. So when someone approaches you, listen to what they're saying, and they'll tell you what they really think. They'll tell you what they really want. And then the energy of that, whether that's true, I'm like, is this guy kidding? It's just like someone is a chauvinist. Okay. What pisses me off about that is that women are expected in today's society to not only be women, but to be businesswomen, to be educated, to look good, to be thin, to be beautiful. It don't matter how old you are, you need to look 25, okay? Because especially if you're going to try to go date somebody who's over 45, these men go through some kind of midlife crisis where they believe, you know what? I'm going to go get me a shiny red sports car. And she just better be perfect. And they walk in all balding with pot bellies and everything else. And that's completely acceptable, right? But if you're a woman, you better have it all. Okay? So somebody like that is going to start, they're going to be looking you up and down the whole time. They're going to want to know about your accomplishments. They're going to want to know about how good you are. It's almost like they're interviewing you. Okay? And don't really tell you much about them other than what they want. That's when you're going to get into a situation when there's too much expected of you. And I've seen it in marital relationships all the time. These men come and they're like, well, she's packed on some pounds and let herself go. And, she didn't do my laundry. And, she's, was supposed to get a raise, but didn't. And she's not doing everything. I'm like, and then in the next breath, I'm like, well, what are you doing for her? As if there's no reason to do anything for her. Oh, I go to work. Well, congratulations. How are you looking? And they'll say, oh, I'm perfect. I'm fine. I'm absolutely gorgeous. I'm sexy. I'm especially if they're over 45. I'm in better shape than I've ever been in my whole life. That's what they'll tell you. And then they'll send in the next breath, well, can you do a healing? And they'll send me a picture. The guy's balding, got wrinkles, pot belly, no muscle tone, and he thinks he's the shit. Okay, listen. Every human being is equally worthy of love and affection and understanding. You can't walk in there like frickin' Joe Dirt and expect to get a Barbie doll. You're delusional. Okay? And if you're not a Ken doll, then you need to be accepting that other people are going to have some faults too. They're going to have some history. You just have to pick and choose whether their history and their faults are acceptable to you. In the same sense, we as women will accept this. I've got women in marriage coming to me telling me I got to lose weight, I got to do all these things, I got to fix all these faults. I don't want my husband to stop loving me. I've got to be perfect. I got to do all these things. I'm going through the menopause and I don't know what the hell to do. And they're all freaked out. Husband's over there. And sometimes I'll even have a reading with the husband, and the husband's like, my wife is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen in my whole life. I'm just this lucky man that she even gives me the time of day. And I'm like, you're awesome. You are a keeper. You are a good, loving man. And the energy from those two individuals is going to feel different when you meet them. When you meet the one who's going to put you up on a pedestal, and like with me, if I were to meet somebody who's going to put me up on a pedestal, I freaking love that. Because you know what I'm going to do? And you think I won't? I'm going to make you the happiest freaking man. I'm going to make you happier than you ever have ever been if you treat me like that. If you treat me good, if you think I'm wonderful, if you do all this stuff and I see your efforts and I hear your words, and no matter, even if I screw up and I just totally like having a hard time, and you come to me and say, oh my God, you're wonderful and you're beautiful, I'm like, bonus points. I am doing all kinds of special shit for you right now. I'm going to do that. This is the kind of energy that you're going to feel, that kind of excitement energy, that kind of boost. The energy from that kind of individual that sees women that way is going to boost you up. You're going to feel joyous. You're going to feel like this little spark. You're going to feel like this little giddiness from that person. You're going to feel almost a sensation of a safeness even before you know them. Now, the other guy comes in looking for the shiny sports car and thinks either because he has money or whatever. Most of the reasons that they need that or they want that is because inside they're terribly insecure. They want something that makes them look better. So they will elevate themselves in front of you. They will tell you how great they are. They will have all these flashy things, and they will look for the flashy woman that tells them that they made it or that they are great, to overcompensate for the other insecurities that they have inside. Now, you're going to feel that, okay? You're going to feel that when that individual is going to feel dry. You're going to feel a little bit on guard. You're going to feel a little bit insulted. So it's little sensations that you feel off of somebody when they approach you like that. Now, they may be very charming, but listen to their words. Start asking questions about, well, tell me about when you were a kid, or tell me about your life, or tell me about this. And you'll see it. You'll hear it. You'll feel it. And then you access this person, what's coming off of this person right now, this energy field, does that match up with the feelings that I'm looking for? And if it doesn't, move on. And are there women looking for somebody who just wants a Barbie doll because they just want the stuff? They don't care. Well, let them go find one of those because they will be great together. Okay? Are there people that look like Barbie dolls and Ken dolls, or a Barbie and a Joe Dirt that fall in love and are great forever? Yeah. I'm talking about the emotional energy that's coming off of a person, and you'll kind of have an idea what your experience is going to be like with them. It's kind of like my mom always talked about a short man complex. So she see this guy, this giant truck. Okay, it was back then. It was like, I think it was the 90s or something. It was like these monster trucks. So they put giant tires on it, and it's like, what do you need, a ladder to get into that thing? What's the point? I mean, what are you really driving over with that? You know? But it's this giant truck. The bigger the truck, and you see this really short, like 5-foot guy jump out of it. I'm like, all right. My mom's like, short man complex. Because they're trying to overcompensate for something. I've met people and I've gone out with people that they were so insecure about the way they looked, but I thought that they were so attractive and so beautiful because the energy that was coming off this people was just giving and loving and pure, despite all their fears and everything else. I've dated people that really weren't that attractive, but to me, over time, I saw that beauty, that inner beauty, kind of like changed my perception of the way they looked. And I've met people in friendships and business and stuff. People walk in and you just feel like this person's sapping my strength. Like I'm tired. Like you feel like a rainy day. That's what you feel like. And then there's people that walk in, they're like, hi. And I'm like, I freaking love you. I want to talk to you all day long. I was just like this. That's the kind of energy I'm talking about. There's information on it. And the way we translate that is picking it apart. What does it remind me of? Is any thoughts popping into my head? Any memories popping into my head? What does it feel like? Does it remind me of another relationship I had before? Does it remind me of a personal emotion that I have experienced when someone's telling a story about their life? Is this jealousy? Am I feeling jealousy? Am I feeling control? Am I feeling anger? Am I feeling regret, resent? Am I feeling love? When somebody tells you a story about how they really tried and everything, you will feel. That's a very strong emotion when somebody tries to save a relationship and they did everything they could. That is real and that is strong, and you will feel it from them. You will feel the truth. So, the best relationship advice I can give is to stop being shallow and stop looking only at the surface. Dig deeper and translate, this, what's housed within the energy field. It will remind you of other experiences that you have. It will come in as core emotions, core intentions. And then you'll know, you're not going to know everything. Because there's certain things you want. I mean, somebody's really attractive. You're like, yeah, I'm totally wrong about everything I'm feeling right now. Let's do this. Been there. But we overlook things. We do. Now, we also want to take into account our emotion, our hang-ups, our crap. After that guy, when I was widowed and I was dating, Every time I walked into a date, I immediately the first as soon as I sat down, "Nope, how long do I have to sit here? I want to pay my half. Nope, 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 nope." Everybody was a no. Till I decided to take a couple of years off and not date anybody at all. Just be totally alone, which is kind of cool. Got tired of it. Um, and then my husband came along. Even in okay, even in the best of relationships I've had, that's when, like, when you're really involved, that's when you overlook things the most. It's like, well, that story feels like total bullshit, but I'll accept it because I can't accept that right now. This is how people overlook people cheating. Um, they don't want to know. They don't want to know. So the best dating advice I can give is to be observant, not just with your five senses, but with the soul senses, which is your really should be your strongest. Um, the soul reads energy. And when that happens, there is no need for language. Here, our brain will translate that energy into language. But that's how a soul communicates. And mediums will tell this. It's not always what they say. You don't see spirits' lips moving all the time. And most of the communication from spirit to spirit is telepathic. It's information. It's feelings. It's pictures. And then so it's not that someone's receiving lies. It's the translation of that information from soul to soul and situation to soul and all of that. And because we've been taught that we only have these five senses, we've stopped using that muscle like we should. And so we get deceived. So, can you master it? Probably not. Just depends on the situation. Because you still have emotions. And you still have wants and needs and things you can handle and you can't handle. And that's part of it too. In receiving information for other people, it's much easier to receive information for other people that you're not emotionally involved in. When we're reading energies, because you're not emotionally involved. That's why a lot of psychics, a lot of intuitive people have a lot of we all go to each other because we're like, I'm too close to this man. I'm too close to this. I'll go to Susan. I'm like, Susan, I'm too close to this. Tell me something. But then, like, the more you know something, they're like, I'm too close to you. Go to somebody else. I'm like, okay. There's things that you want, you don't want, you want to say, and you don't want to say, and you want to see, and you don't want to see, and that's just part of all of it. Getting past your own emotions, getting past the walls that people put up. But you can get more information than what they look like and what they're telling you and what they're saying in business, in relationships, with kids. I used to stand there with the two girls, and of course, nobody was at fault ever. I'd line them up. All right, who did it? And I'd watch them panic, and everybody's yelling. I'm like, no, 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 no. Pretty much the only time I yelled is when to be heard with these two girls. They're so loud, and they were hard to read, man. They were hard to read. They're good. But I kind of always knew who did it. But then their outward emotion, actions and reactions were like so violent that you're just kind of afraid to assume or to take one's word over another, and so you get so confused, and everybody's in trouble and everybody's on restriction. That's what happens. But you kind of know who did it. You do. My parents used to do that to us. They used to line me up. Me, Randy, and Shelly. Shelly, keep a secret until she was mad at you, and then everything came out. Randy and I, rock solid, man. Poker face. You could not break us. We would stand in that line. All right, who broke it? Dad, line us up. Like the military. Who broke it? Randy and I are like, I have no opinion on that at all. I have no idea what happened. Absolutely, totally have no idea what happens. Usually Randy. Randy did it. Shelly over there starts shaking. And she'd just crack, and she'd tell on all of us and then lie. And just usually my fault too. Shelly fell down and hurt herself, pointed at me, and I was in trouble. That's the kind of person she is. Randy and I, even if we both got in trouble, we wouldn't break. Nope. Because he told me when I was a kid, you don't tell. Okay? You don't be a narc. You don't tell, we're brother and sister. That's a bond. He used to teach us that. But it's like, usually I get in trouble for shit that Randy did. Randy's the one, he's a troublemaker. But he did the same thing for me, though. If I did something in trouble, he wouldn't tell. There's no way would he, tell. But they could feel it. Dad come by like the drill sergeant, just look at us. Do you know who did this? No idea where I'm even at right now. I have no idea what's going on. And Shelly's over there just shaking. I totally know who did it. And she just starts pointing, so, but I know that Mom was better at reading the energies than Dad. Mom knew who frickin' did it. She knew. So it's like we know these things, and if we if we just take a step back from our personal emotions for a second and access the energy of that situation, that moment in time, what are you feeling from the story this person's telling you? Why are they really here sitting in front of you for this interview? Are they full of crap? Well, there is this guy. What time is it? Whoops. Hang on. I can't tell you the story. It's a good one. But basically there was this guy who came in and told my stepfather why he should create a management position to manage the entire inside sales office of his company, which they never had one before. Everybody's been working there for like 20 years and everybody's fine. Totally convinced him that this was needed and that he was going to raise all our quotas and everything just to justify this idiot's salary. Okay, so I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, I'm getting this weird vibe, like, and all I could think is, where's he been? Where's he been? I said, did you look at his timeline on his resume there or something? Where's he been? Oh, well, he said he's had a few years there where he wasn't working. And I'm like, he was in a mental institution. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. But this guy was in a mental institution. There's something wrong here. And you just put him in charge of the whole Santee plant, basically. What are you doing? That's the same guy that I've told the story where we went up to, what was it, Corona or something, Long Beach, and we were looking at a new product that we were going to take on, and he goes, you want some gum? And he opens up the glove compartment, there's like 200 packs of gum in there, and I'm like, and I'm sitting, and he's driving in the car. Okay, and I'm like, it's odd. It's a lot of gum. That's a lot of gum. Then he's like, well, but you don't find what you want there. And he opens up the center console in the car. There's like 200 packs in there. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die right now. So, but some people who aren't in tune and they don't, like if he was sitting in front of me with that interview, I would have picked up on that. It's not like, the whole story. It's just like a little pang. Like, I feel crazy. Does anybody feel crazy? I feel a little pang of crazy here. Now I want to look at his timeline. Where the hell have you been? You're hiding something. There's something going on here. Don't ignore that stuff anymore. Dig deeper when that happens, because there's layers and layers and layers to the information in this energy field. Okay, and once you answer one question, you ask another one, it's going to give you more information and more information. Okay? Think about that. And as far as dating, people are not a new toy. They are not a possession for you to acquire. They are not a trophy. You want to go out there and find something that's going to make you look great, then you go find the shallow ones who are looking for the same thing. Because there's real people looking for real love and real life. It pisses me off beyond belief when I hear somebody talk about somebody in a demeaning way when it comes to a relationship. And what does that feel like? Control. Control. And if you want to step into a box where you've been controlled, you will be controlled, well then go ahead and do that. But if you feel that in the beginning, I feel a little pang of control here. Anybody feel control? I mean, everything appears all right, and the story seems to fall into place correctly, but I'm not really feeling controlled already, and just with the first drink, run. Make sure that energy matches up with what you're looking for. All the information, not all of it, but most of the information will be there, enough to make that decision. Okay? And if everyone is a piece of God, treat them like it. And especially if you find a giver, they're going to make you freaking happy if you give too. Okay? Give them the opportunity to do that. All right, I'm going to go. I got a reading in 3 minutes. Keep an eye on all those things today. I don't know what's going on so far. There might be some truth to a possible over $3 rate for the dinar. I don't know. It might be referred to as like a placeholder. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes open. Watch the chats. Watch the news. And listen to the intel, because I feel like we got a whole bunch of Jentel confirms on the horizon. All right, guys. Have a good day. Bye, Dr. Sarah. I love your comments. I love you all. Let's see. Let's get over here. Bye.